Thank you so much, Patrick. That was a tremendous refresher on chemistry for me, absolutely, because I haven't been in a chemistry class in some time. But what it really made me also think about was it's so much about the component parts, right? We're talking about the elements that make up the elements that make up these critical minerals, these components that are in to use your phrase, from wastewater to a food supply system, right? These pieces that make up the ecosystem. That's so much of what we are seeing tonight is all these component parts that make up an ecosystem and make up a community. And no defense, technology, national security conversation would be complete without the inclusion of a discussion on autonomy. With that, I'd love to welcome Emma Bates to the stage, founder and CEO of Cachai.
Thank you, Margaret. Hello, everyone. As a alumna of Johns Hopkins SAIS, I am class of 2019. I'm very jealous that you guys get this amazing building and auditorium, and I missed it. How many folks in the audience we've already asked who's startup founders, who here has any experience with military strategy? Yeah? Okay, that's a lot, that's good. So that's kind of where this story starts. I'm the founder and CEO of a startup called Cachai. And the word Cachai actually comes from Chilean slang. It means, you know, capiche, right? You feel me, dog? You say it at the end of sentences, keeps everyone on the same page. And that's what our company does for collaborative autonomy. We keep lots of devices. Maybe they're flying around. Maybe they're just doing AI. Maybe they're sensors. Maybe they're effectors. It keeps them all on the same page. And my time at Hopkins, at SAIS, is really where this all started, because this is where I got my strategic education from the American foreign policy departments and the strategic studies departments. I don't know if those still exist or if they've combined us in different ways, but that's what we had at the time. And I started learning about how you needed your strategy to match your technology and your technology to match your strategy. And then I went and worked in and around the Defense Department, DIU, Army Futures Command, CSIS. Tried a stint in a startup for a little while, working for a startup I didn't own, not being in charge, learning a bunch of lessons. And throughout that whole time, I kept seeing the same technological problem over and over again. And the startup that I founded is designed to solve that problem. So I'm going to tell you guys about the story of how we got there. So for those of you in the audience who don't have any background in military strategy, a quick review being, we're really trying to get away from having like 5 aircraft carriers and a couple of really expensive airplanes to having millions and millions of small things that all work together in real time, that kind of swarm, right? And the reason that we're doing that is in part just because, you know, you're spreading out your risk, right? But also because we need things to be autonomous and able to function and adapt to changing circumstances. And the best way to do that in a composable fashion is to have lots of small pieces. But it's been hard. So for example, drone swarming. If the fusion, I just hear this all the time in my whole career in defense modernization. Yeah, swarming would be great, but if the fusion node goes down, or if the ground control station goes down, or the connection back to it goes down, the whole thing falls apart. It's not a swarm anymore. Forward deployed teams, they need to have a common operating picture. They need all of their devices to be showing them the same truth. Otherwise, one of them might be marching in unsupported by the others because they don't know that he's gone in. And I would hear over and over again, our common operating picture, it's not common, it's that guy's operating picture. It belongs to that one, central person. Forward operating bases, they would love to have, a common operating picture across even just one side of the base to the other. They would love to have high availability and consistency across all their systems. They would love for it to feel more like how we use the cloud, right? But low bandwidth and high latency. Missile defense, same thing. In order to compare what you're seeing across multiple different systems, they have to be able to know that they're looking at the same thing in real time. These are all really the same problem. They want a single source of truth without a single point of failure, right? And let's focus in on collaborative autonomy to kind of illustrate how we took this problem and found a solution. Let's say we're talking about drones flying around. You have 50 drones, and you want them to be able to go off and do something useful without being babysat, right? And you need them to do things together that amount to more than the sum of their parts. So maybe they're lifting a child out of a burning building. Maybe they are mapping a disaster zone and telling first responders where to go, creating their own mesh network when there's no connectivity, there's no comms, doing things that are solving problems for people. And of course, in warfare, if you're attacked by a swarm, you'd better have a swarm to counterattack. So what do you need? First thing, network. Then you gotta be able to talk to each other. A and B and C all need to be able to literally send data across some kind of medium back and forth. Cool. We've got a lot of startups that are doing great things on that. There's a lot of network solutions. We've got that covered. So that's not the problem. That's not why these problems have been showing up, right? That's not the core thing. What's the second thing you need? Interoperability. These are dongles, if you can't tell. A, B, and C need to be able to understand each other, right? That's easy to understand. Plenty of startups are working on that. It's an understandable problem. Let's say we solve that. 3, intelligence. They have to be saying the right things. They have to make sense. They have to be making correct decisions based on good information. AI goes here, right? If you've got an AI solution, it probably is part of that problem solution set. But let's say you have all 3 of those. And they do. They have all 3 of those. And still, collaborative autonomy is not happening. And it's because there's a 4th problem. And that is your system. How do A, B, and C relate to each other? Is A in charge or B? Are they all just independent and sort of really intelligently predicting what each other is going to do next? I mean, what happens if, 5 drones have to defend people from 5 incoming drones? What if they all decide to attack the same one and then there's 4 left? So, individual, that doesn't make much sense. You put 1 in charge, okay, well then you've got a single point of failure. So that's really the problem that has been plaguing this technology modernization strategy world. And I'd sort of described a little bit before, but it's really between centralized control or distributed control. Do you have a queen bee or a ground control station that's in charge? Or are they able to sort of act like the arms and legs of the same being? Can they act as one? Can they be a hive mind? But oops, all queens, right? I spoke ahead of my slides there. Basically, here, the rest of my talk is, this is the kind of problem where if you solve it, you win the next war so much that it doesn't happen, right? Because if you can imagine, if you have defenses and they're designed for things that are working individually, those defenses don't work against things that are using a hive mind, right? And what I worry about is, what if the other side kind of integrates a solution before we do? And I know that that's possible because we've done it. We've figured this out. I'm not really here to plug my company, but what I want to say is, if you're a startup founder, or if you want to be a startup founder, some of the most exciting work that you can do is stuff that people don't think is possible, haven't figured out how to ask for, and don't realize is the 4th piece of a problem that people have been trying to solve, right? Find that 4th problem when the 1st and the 2nd and the 3rd are people are really, they're all talking about it, it all makes sense there, but they don't even know that there's something missing. They don't even know that there's something much more advanced that could be out there. It's a hard road it's a hard, it's really plowing the earth with your face, as a lot of defense and dual-use tech startups are. But it's incredibly rewarding, because what you get to do is stand in front of people and teach them something, right? So who all thinks they maybe learned something new today? Maybe from me, maybe from the guy before, right? That feels great. So here's what I want you guys to take away from this. Strategy is important. Technology is important. Your technology has to match your strategy. And sometimes new technologies completely disrupt the way that we're talking about strategy. And sometimes strategy is reaching out and asking for new technologies. Find that place, because I can tell you it's so much fun. Thank you.